Well, good morning. Welcome to Coffee with a Pastor. I'm on hopefully my last day of quarantine. According to the Galveston County Health Department, their call, I should be able to get out some tomorrow. I don't know how long. Unfortunately, my COVID symptoms have been mild. I've had a lot of tiredness and a mild congestion, but outside of that, nothing really awful. So maybe I can get out into the office a little bit tomorrow anyway. Maybe not all day, but a little bit. But today I want to continue with our study. Fortunately, I've not had to miss any of my Coffee with the Pastors in the morning. I've felt up to giving them every day. Today we're in Genesis 31. Jacob at his father-in-law Laban's house. Laban has been tricking him, been manipulating him, saw that God was blessing everything that Jacob touched, and so he's been tricking him to stay around. He charged him 14 years for his two daughters in marriage. One of the daughters he didn't even want, and that's about twice the bride's price from what we can see. He's talked him into staying another 6 years because God's blessed him. Laban's become a very wealthy man because of the blessing of God upon Jacob. This time Jacob's getting payment. And whatever Laban changes the pay to be, and he changes his wages 10 times, God just changes with it. And Jacob is becoming very wealthy. In fact, he's becoming more wealthy than Laban. And in chapter 31, Laban's sons are noticing this, that their inheritance is going mostly to Jacob. And they're mad about it, and they're seeing a different attitude towards him. Laban's sons and Laban are treating him differently because God's blessing him so much. So Jacob, in the first 16 verses, prepares to leave. He starts preparing his two wives, and I guess he doesn't know how they're going to react because that is their father. But when he talks to Leah and Rachel, though they don't agree upon much, they agree upon this. Their father Laban has not treated them well. They've sold them off to Jacob. He treated them like slaves. He's keeping them from the inheritance that they should have. And so they're all for going back to the promised land where Jacob came from. God has appeared to Jacob. He's told him to go back to Bethel. When I was growing up, we had revivals at least twice a year. And oftentimes there would be a evangelist that would begin the message off by preaching a message called Going Back to Bethel. Bethel is where Jacob had that great encounter with God, where he saw the ladder with the angels descending and ascending, where God's voice spoke to him, said he was going to be blessed. And he's called to go back there. He's called to go back where he met with God. Now this may be a little scary for him because he doesn't know that the issue with Esau is solved. When he left, Esau was wanting to kill him. Rebekah, his mother, said she would send word when it was safe. She has not sent word. So Jacob doesn't know if it's safe, but he knows it's time for him to leave there. So he prepares them. He talks to his wives, Leah and Rachel. They get their servants, their children, and they begin to take off. For whatever reason, and I'm not sure that we know the exact reason, Rachel steals her dad's, Laban's, idols. Now this tells us a couple things. Number one, Laban isn't like the Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob in that he's serving idols. He's not serving just the one true God. He may be serving him, but he's also serving idols. And this is something that Abraham and Isaac and Jacob did not do. And so he's serving idols. And Rachel decides she wants to steal them. And we don't know if she's stealing them because of she wants to continue worshiping these idols. Or maybe what some suggested is that the one who would be entitled to the greatest inheritance would have received those idols, been passed on to them, inherited to them. Maybe she did it for that. I'm quite certain that if Jacob would have known, she would have taken them, he wouldn't have let her, but she didn't ask. So she took the idols and they left. When they get to Gilead on the other side of the Euphrates, Uh, Laban and them see that they've flown. They catch up to them. And the night before they've caught up to Jacob and his clan, God has put in a dream to him that he's not to harm him. And so when he comes and has this conference with Jacob, he is complaining to Jacob about, why did you leave? Why couldn't I sent you off with a party? Why couldn't I have kissed my grandchildren and my children? And he's complained at Jacob the whole time. And Jacob kind of pushes back a little bit on his own. He says, you've changed my wages 10 times. Even though you knew God was blessing me, you kept trying to use me. And so he said, you treated me like a servant. He said, you know, I was treated more like a slave than a son. And so he pushes back some. But Laban's big complaint is that they've stolen the idols. Jacob doesn't know the idols have been stolen, so he starts saying, go find the idols, whoever has them, you can kill them. So he starts at Jacob's tent and doesn't find them. He goes to Leah's tent, doesn't find them. Goes to the servant's tent, doesn't find them. He goes to Rachel's tent, does not find them. Now, it's kind of, for the audience reading, it's kind of building up because we know Rachel has them. But Rachel has hid them under her saddlebags, and she tells her father she can't get up because she's in her menstrual cycle. She's having her period. And so he doesn't make her get up. Even though this is well before Moses, the audience would have known that would have made them unclean. Anything she was sitting on would have been unclean. So I don't know if that has anything to do with it or not, but he doesn't make her get up, and she, keeps the idols, and that doesn't work. And so they then sit down and make an agreement out, and they put some pillars up, and Laban says, I promise that I won't, if I cross here, I will not come here for harm for you. If you promise to cross here, you don't have harm for me. And so they make a pact there that they're not going to hurt each other, that they're going to, get along, they're going to be blessing. And then also, Laban asked that Jacob not marry any other women outside of his daughters. I find it interesting that he's concerned about his daughters now because he didn't seem to be concerned about them before. But that's the pact they have. The thing I kind of want to stress today is Laban very much tried to use Jacob. He saw that God was blessing Jacob and said as much in chapter 30. And he wanted to use Jacob for him to get rich and to benefit from. It didn't bother him that he was treating him badly, that he was treating his own daughters badly, that he wasn't treating them like family, but he was treating them like slaves. He wasn't bothered with that. But I find it interesting that Jacob just let God play it out. And God did. God took care of it. Now, when they went to trick Isaac to get the blessing that he wanted to give Esau, Rebekah and Jacob kind of helped God. I don't think God needed any help, but they did. This time Jacob just lets God do it. And God takes Jacob from nothing to being a very wealthy man. He takes Laban, who's stingy, manipulative, deceitful, greedy, treats his family like pawns, and he's taking care of him. And I think that's somewhat the way we ought to live our lives. A lot of times we get too into people who mistreat us or people who may be unfair to us about how that they need to be treated badly again. And I see this in our society. If somebody does something bad, then we need something worse for them. Actually, God has said, vengeance is mine. And I think it would be good for us to do more of what Jesus said. Forgive us our trespasses as we forgive those who trespass against us. And not worry so much about, are they going to get theirs? They will. God is a just God. He keeps score. And he'll treat all of us how we should be treated. hopefully with grace and mercy at that. Well, I hope you have a great day. We'll continue studying about Jacob. It's going to be a very exciting story the next couple of days. We'll talk about him coming back and being reunited with Esau and all the things that go with that. And I can't wait to bring it to you. And so I'll see you tomorrow, and have a blessed day.